Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Doing things a little different here today. Been trying to make this video for the past couple of hours. I was driving around the Camaro and drained 2 GoPro batteries, and now it's gotten dark outside and my throat started trying to close up where I couldn't talk. And this particular video and a few more that I've got in mind for this series that I'm going to do has been really weighing heavily on my mind and my heart. I've been feeling led to share this stuff with y'all and put it out there. And I had a really long conversation Friday. It's one of the best conversations I've had in years with a guy that I've really started to trust. And we came to the conclusion and the agreement that I need to put this out there. And now that I felt so uncomfortable about it and I've been putting it off and my throat's starting to act up, I'm putting it out there. We're going to get this done. So in my origin story, I told y'all I was going to start sharing some more lifestyle related content. I'm just going to say it's personal stuff about me and some of the struggles I've had and some of the victories I've had and all that. So I created a playlist on my channel. It's called Built From Within. I've put my origin story in there already. And there's another video in there that I can't remember what I was talking about. I was probably just on some kind of rant, but if you will, go back into my origin story and watch that video if you haven't. It's going to give you some background information on me and kind of some of the things I'm going to share. This is going to be geared mainly towards men because I'm a man and it's mostly men that watch this channel, and I feel like we speak the same language if we're men. And I don't really know the women's perspective, but if you're one of the few ladies that watches the channel, I hope you can get something out of this too. And if you don't struggle in the area of whatever video we're talking about, wherever the topic is, maybe you do know somebody that's struggling in that area, and you can share this with them and it'll have a positive impact on their life, because that's the real goal here. So don't worry, the channel is still going to be cars and gun related, and that's going to be the main part of the channel, but this stuff is going to become more of a regular thing and stuff that I really just feel led to share. So today's topic is anger and holding grudges, and how I've learned to let go of those over the past few years, and just kind of my struggle with that and my shortcomings with that. So just go ahead and get started. My journey with this started when I was 5 years old. Started feeling angry. You know, parents going through a divorce, call it childhood trauma or whatever you want to call it, but things were rough. And it moved on into my mother getting remarried. I didn't get along with her husband, and really just hated the guy with a passion. You know, at a very, very young age, 8, 9 years old, I just hated the guy. Then I got to my teenage years where it's really normal to feel all the anger and all that stuff because all your hormones are raging, and you know, you're going through puberty and so many changes with your body, and you're just going to feel angry, and that's really normal. But after all of those changes, it didn't go away. I was still angry. I spent more time being angry than anything else. And as I got to 19, 20 years old and I was moving out of the house, I thought, okay, I'm going to start feeling better. And I had little moments of happiness here and there, but I was angry. I was empty inside. And it got to where the only thing that I could feel was anger. And that's kind of was my happiness, was getting angry and holding on to things. You know, I held a grudge against my mother's husband for 20 years for nothing. This guy tells stories now about when I was 11, 12, 13 years old living at home. He doesn't even remember that I lived there. And I was holding this grudge and killing myself inside over that. I can't believe myself sometimes when I even go to think about this. And this is super uncomfortable to share, so I'm sorry if I get choked up with my throat or if I don't know what to say. But that's absolutely ridiculous to have done that. You know, into my early 20s, I was so angry, ended up having a lot of stomach problems. I had to go to a doctor and got referred to a specialist. I had the upper GI endoscopy, or the scope down the throat, and I had all the inflammation that you could have in my esophagus, my stomach, my small intestine, my large intestine, is ulcers, and all these different things popping up. Went back for the consult from the scope job, and the doctor said, hey, I don't know what's going on, but if you got an attitude problem, and I think you do, you need to fix it. And well, I knew everything. I was in my early 20s. I didn't pay any attention to that. I kept right on doing what I was doing. They had me on 5 or 6 different medications, and they helped, but they weren't fixing the problem. I was too far gone. I was consumed by anger and rage, and I truly believe that anger is one of those things that gives evil a stronghold in your life, and a way for evil to control you and influence your decisions. And I lived that way. I got to that point where it was an addiction. Like to feel okay, I needed to get angry. I needed to scratch that itch. And people are drugs and alcohol or food or the P word. To scratch that itch, well, mine was anger. And I did it every day. In the Bible it tells us to not let the sun go down on our anger. And I was living proof of the reason why, because those mental stresses that you hold on to will take a physical toll on your body. And vice versa. Your body's not healthy, your mind won't be healthy. One needs the other to be whole. And I was empty inside. I was an empty vessel. I was consumed by hate and anger and rage. And it got to the point where I could feel it. And that's how I felt something. I could feel it in my feet. And I would get angry. It would come up my legs and through my core. And it was just like this hot tingle sensation coming through my body. And it would go up my neck, around the back of my head, and it would cover my face. And as soon as it hit my chin, it would cover my face. I was a different person. I was unhinged. I was unpredictable. Nobody knew what was going to happen next. I didn't even know what was going to happen next. It affected everything in my life. It affected my health, like I said. It affected my relationships with family, with friends, with girlfriend, then wife. It affected my career. It affected my relationship with coworkers. My coworkers knew me as the angry guy. As men, we like to joke and pick around with each other, especially at work, if we work in construction or something. And if you see a big red button on a guy, you want to poke it. Well, I had the biggest red button. Everybody wanted to poke that. Everybody did. And they controlled me. They controlled me the same way that my mother's husband controlled me for all those years, living rent-free in my head over something that he didn't even remember. And at the end of the day, those guys didn't remember me getting angry. They just knew it at work that they could have a good laugh at me. I was the joke. I was the laughing stock. And they knew that they could feel how they wanted to feel by controlling me that way. And I was getting worse. All my relationships got worse. It affected time with my grandmother, because my mother's husband would be at those family functions where she was, and I would have to leave because I couldn't take the blinders off. Really sad thing. The person that poured the most into me, and I wasn't there for some of the times that I should have been there. And so I started praying when I realized that, hey man, this is getting way too far. And there's that reason that God says, don't let the sun go down on your anger, right? Like I said. I started praying that I could recognize what was wrong with me and get rid of it. And I recognized that the person that I was angry at the most was me. I was angry at the potential that I had wasted. I was angry at the talent I had wasted, I had aspirations as a kid from a very young age to be involved in the automotive space and to be involved in performance industry. I went to junior college for automotive technology, and I wasted that opportunity being angry and screwing around, and I squandered that. and I recognize it. And it hurt. It still hurts. So I've been praying, I got in the career I'm in now, and it affected that because, my boss, it affected my progression in that career, in this career, because my boss couldn't trust me. He knew I was a lit fuse. Everybody knew. You can't trust a person who's unpredictable. And young men, if you're that guy, stop it. It's affecting everything about you. Let it go. Move on to whatever's next. So one day, after much prayer, asking God for help, the blinders got taken off. Boom. I could see. I could hear. It was pretty clear that everybody was controlling me, and the only person that it hurt was me. And when I stopped giving the guys at work that reaction, it took something from them. It took a piece of them away, because they couldn't control me anymore, and they were using me to feel good about themselves and feel good about their life, and I took that away from them. And that was my first victory with it. My second victory was finally learning to let go of what people had done to me in the past, what happened with my parents, what happened with my mother's husband, what happened with other people that were in my life. Even if I never saw them again or never spoke to them again, I learned to forgive them for myself and to let that go, to let those grudges go. Because the only person really ever affected was me. I was the one suffering. Nobody else was. Everybody else had already long forgotten about the situation. I didn't. Those thoughts consumed my mind from sun up to sundown. They consumed my dreams. And I learned to let that go. And it was like a huge weight was taken off of me. It felt like I could breathe again. And I saw things clearly for the first time in a very long time. And I started on this personal growth journey. And like I said, I've been on and off the wagon, and just learning to control those things has made such a huge impact in my life that I can tell you with 100% certainty, my brother in Christ, my sister in Christ, if you are that person, if you are holding on to things, if you are angry and you don't know why, let it go. Figure out what your problem is. Mine, like I said, I was angry at me the most. That was the true root cause. I was angry at those other people, but it was really me and the life I wanted to live, And I squandered all that, and it's hard to get back. That's the reason why I'm here. That's the reason why I'm doing this. I do these car videos and these gun videos because I wanted to be in the automotive industry, and I still want to be in the automotive industry. I never thought I wanted to be on social media. I didn't have any social media until 2018. I didn't have anything. Never wanted a part of it. And now I'm here making these videos, and it is a huge struggle for me to do this, because it is so uncomfortable. But these videos I make and the relationships I've made through this stuff has been pretty life-changing for me. I've been able to talk to some of y'all so much about cars and setup and parts and all that I thought about charging you a consultant fee. Some of y'all, we've gone over it for days, weeks, months, and just over and over and over and over and over. And I was like, man, I'm gonna have to start charging you money for this shit. But I'm glad to do it because it gives me a sense of purpose. And the few videos where I've shared some personal stuff, and a lot of them were at the end of a gun video or something, where I just give my little speech, and the positive reactions I've had for that are people saying, hey man, that really struck a chord with me, and I needed to hear that. That means that this channel's a success in my book. I'm still learning this stuff, I'm still growing, but I'm learning to, my dream is modified now. It's like my car. It's like my guns. I modify them. This is my modified dream. I got into this group, men's group. I'm going to probably leave a link in the description. And if I don't, you just leave me a comment that you want to get involved. We're all on the same journey at different points along that path. We've got some extremely high value men in the group who are willing to pass along their knowledge. We're all there to help each other grow into the highest version of ourselves. It's not about ego. It's not about showing off. It's about helping each other grow. Women, I'm sorry, I can't help you there. You have to find your own group. I'm not getting involved in any women's groups. I don't know anything about that. But I'm putting my words into action, and I'm finding a sense of purpose in making these videos and sharing my life with y'all and sharing my hobbies with y'all. And I'm going to keep doing it because I think this can go somewhere, and I'm not quitting. I feel led to make this stuff, make this content, and I hope this is just the beginning of a long journey. I'm on that path, and I want to see y'all on that path, and I'll do anything I can to help you. I think that's all I've got for today. Much love. We'll see you later.